Howdy y'all, welcome back to Cam Shack Productions. Today we're going to talk about what a beginner kayaker should take on their first overnight kayaking trip. I've done a lot of different rivers, but I have never floated one in a kayak carrying all the gear for an overnight. I'm getting ready to do that with a buddy of mine, and I'm going to make this thing pretty interesting with this raft right here behind me. So aside from the normal gear, like your personal flotation device, your kayak, your paddles, I wanted to actually talk about what I think is some really important gear you need to have if you're going to plan on floating a river, especially if you're going to do it in a boat and you're not really confident in either your abilities or how the boat is going to do, because you're going to basically want to protect everything. You want to make sure that you are ready to swim in case that actually happens. So the very first thing I would recommend investing in and checking out are dry bags. There are a ton of different options. You know, these are cell phone bags. Definitely going to want to protect that. This is a little mini dry bag that you can put personal items in. They've got cell phone boxes, things like that. We do a lot of canyoneering as well, so I have a lot of ways to keep things dry. And then you have just your traditional dry bags. Definitely trying to find dry bags that have straps attached to them so that you can snap them into your boat. They're really going to help. And they make these in all kinds of different sizes. They have backpack versions, they have duffel bags. It all depends on what you want to spend. If you have a recreation outlet in your town, go check that place out for dry bags. They have a really good deal. But you know, Amazon as well. So definitely making sure that you're keeping things dry and you're keeping things protected. Another couple things you're really going to want to make sure. I always carry a tarp or a ground sheet just to make sure that I have something to lay things out on. We're going to be in the desert, so there's always pokey objects. So even if I cowboy camp using just my sleeping pad and my sleeping bag, I'm going to want to have something between me and the ground because there's always something that's going to pop your pad in the desert. So I just carry a footprint. You could get a basic tarp. You could go to Walmart and get like an 8x8, 5x7, just something that's big enough to put underneath you to sit on, to utilize, but definitely a tarp of some sort, sleeping pad. Definitely find your favorite sleeping pad, take it with you, be comfortable. If you have enough capacity and you want to, take a cot, you're gonna want to have your sleeping bag. This is definitely my nice. I love this thing. I've done a review on this sleeping bag. Go check it out. But definitely have a good sleeping bag. And if you can have something that's down and compresses really small, that's even better. I am taking my One Tigress trekking pole tent on this trip because I am going to be bringing my trekking poles, because I personally feel like there's going to be parts of this river where we're going to be walking and pulling our boats behind us, and it's going to be really nice to be able to actually pull out my trekking poles and be able to use them. And I like this tent. It's got a vestibule, it's good bug netting, it's got a good size to it. This is the One Tigress Bungalow, the original version, type 1. So this is old school, but it works great, and I'm really excited to be able to take that out because I love the way it sets up. And but I am taking my poles so that when we are walking through that water, I can attach my boat to my life vest and I can actually just kind of have some support, steadiness. There's a racket in Zion on river sticks, and you can just pick up a set of trekking poles. I'm also going to be bringing my Trekology pillow. This thing, oh, it's so worth it. I love this thing so much. It makes sleep so great. Um, Toiletries, basic toiletry kit, U-dig, shovel, and I'm actually going to make sure that I bring a disposable toilet or a wag bag, just in case we need to have them. It's always good to have. Check wherever you're going to be floating. There could be regulations that require you to use a wag bag. The place that we're going to float really doesn't, but I figure this is just a good thing to have. So make sure you got yourself covered. Hand Sandy. Electronics. So I will actually use one of these phone cases to hold my electronics. So I will put all the wires that I need, and I will also put any battery bank that I might need. And I'm going to just bring a solar charger as well. This thing is great. This is an old school EcoSol, and I can just set it down as we're cruising around and let it charge up. So really stoked about that. All right, y'all. So let's talk a little bit about food and water. Inside of this bag, I have everything that I basically would take for a backpacking trip. I have a couple freeze-dried meals. I have some stovetop stuffing. I have drink mixes in here, tea, basically everything that I would roll with, you know, granola bars, everything that I would use if I was going to go on a backpack trip. So I just keep all of my backpacking food right inside of this thing. It works really good, and I can just move it wherever I need it. The other thing that I'm really stoked about is we are going to be doing an MRE taste test. This is going to be one of our lunches on one of the days on the river. So this should be interesting. I actually like these. My buddy that's going with me says he tolerates them, so this should be good. I mean, come on, it's waterproof, it's ready to go. I'm stoked about this. All right, let's talk about water. You're definitely going to want to make sure that you have plenty of water. I'm going to carry probably more water than I'm going to need over this one night trip. But you're definitely going to want to have something, and I actually have a bonus tip on this for you. But here's bonus tip. For people that like to float rivers, this is a really simple piece of webbing. And then I just put duct tape around it, which also means that I have duct tape that I can use if I get into a pinch and I need some. But this webbing allows me to clip this onto my boat. So if my boat completely flips, I'm not chasing down a bunch of water bottles downriver. So bonus tip just for y'all. You wait right there. The other thing that you're going to want to make sure you have is your water filtration kit. I like the Sawyer Squeeze. You definitely want to make sure that if you are going to be filtering out of a very sandy river like the one we're going to be in and you can't find a spring or a cleaner source, try to bring a bucket or something that you can just scoop the water in and then let it sit for like 15-20 minutes and settle, and then pump your water. It will make it so much easier and you will not clog your filters. If you are in the desert and you're using one of these Sawyer filters, make sure you backwash after every use using clean water. Otherwise, this thing will clog. All filters will clog in the desert. And if you don't have one of the old school ceramics that you can take out and squeeze and clean, this is really important. So have a filter. Even if you have enough water, make sure you have a filter just in case something goes wrong, right? My cook kit will be just a basic, this is my Stanley pot that I love. It's got my stove inside of it. It's usually got a coffee cup in there, but I think I used it and I think I need to clean it before I take it with me. And then just a can of fuel. This is all I will need. All right, let's talk about safety and making sure that you have all of your first aid kit. Definitely don't skimp on this. You're not hauling it on your back, so you might as well have it. So bring your first aid kit. I also have a bunch of different emergency kits, and this is the one that I usually carry in my backpack. And then this is just my little bag that goes in the top of my backpack. It's got some Tylenol, it's got a lighter, it's got a compass, and it's got a spoon. Don't laugh. You never know when you're going to need a spoon. It comes in handy all the time. Vader. Beep, beep. Everybody makes fun of it. Another couple things you're going to want to make sure is that you have sunscreen, sun protection, a hat, big brimmed hat. You're going to want to have your headlamp. Definitely want to make sure you have something to light. And I highly recommend a watch. If you are not a watch wearer, find some place to put it on your life jacket, find some place to put it in your boat. But if you're paddling long distances, it can be really deceiving how fast the sun can come down. So it's really nice to know what time it is when you're doing long treks. Definitely. Your camera gear, whatever that might be, you know, your tripods, don't skimp on putting these things in a dry box or something like that. But make sure you can document what you want and that you're getting the footage that you need. I'm probably going to be trying to put all of that in my backpack, undecided, but who knows? All right. The other thing I highly recommend is just some sort of safety. You know, this is an emergency bivy that you can pull out and slide yourself in. So if you get in a really bad place and somebody's hypothermic, you can put them inside of this, and it actually does a pretty good job. And this isn't one of those emergency shelters. This is one of the good, like, lay down inside bivvies, and I highly recommend picking one of these up. I think they're like 15 bucks on Amazon. All right, cordage. I would definitely recommend bringing some sort of cord. If you have a boat that starts to sink, if you have a buddy that needs to be rescued, depending on the kind of river you're doing, you're going to want to be able to do it. If you're going into actual whitewater, you should know what you're doing and you better have a full-on rescue kit. But even for those of us that aren't, it's really nice to be able to tie on your boat, drag it. If you need to portage or something like that, a little cord goes a long way. And you know, it's just worth having it. And Keep it in a dry bag though if you're not going to use it right away, so that way it does not get wet and get heavy. This is just going to be on the bottom of my boat, so if I need to throw it, I can, and it will be attached. Really, really simple. Another thing that I really highly recommend is that if you have some sort of sling, if whatever it might be, if you have any kind of climbing sling or anything like that, these work again really well. Like I was saying, if we need to drag our boats, I can clip this onto my life vest and clip it onto my boat and just drag it back behind me. And if something goes wrong and my boat starts to have a problem, I can just unclip it and get it off. So even if you don't have a rescue harness life jacket, you could go with something like this. Never go wrong with just having extra straps. You know what I mean? I think that cordage, extra straps, something wax cord like this comes in really handy. Again, being able to strap down your bags. This goes with my actual dry bag is really, really crucial. Having some sort of cooler, you know, I think this is really a nice thing that I don't have to haul everything. So I'm not going to use a huge cooler, but I have the ability to keep some drinks cold, maybe keep some lunch meat or something cold, and just put this, you know, cheap. I think this came from Target actually, and just strap it right into my boat. I can even put it right in front of me so that if I want to pull out a drink, I can. All right. Let's go over a couple bonus items and a couple things that I really highly recommend that you have. Uh, Bring some sort of buff. That way, if you get hot, you can dip it in the water. If you get sunburnt, you can pull it up over your face. You can put it around your arms. Bring a buff. They are just something you should have with you all the time. I recommend a pair of swim goggles. As stupid as this sounds, usually people drop something, and if you want to be able to try to go down to the bottom and find it, these really come in helpful or handy. I carry these in my canyoneer bag, and these have rescued people's ATCs that they have dropped in a giant muddy pool because they were able to actually go underwater and find it with these. So really simple, you can pick them up cheap, and they're well worth having. All right, some sort of patching or tape. My raft comes with a patch kit. I also bring some of this really cool Teflon tape stuff that works kind of like a ripstop material that can go over stuff. I keep these all over in all my bags in my emergency kit. I have lots of these. You can get them really cheap on Amazon. All right. Another thing that I highly recommend, and as far as I'm concerned, it's the only time that it's appropriate to wear zip-off pants. If you're going out in early season, be wary of bugs. There might be a point where you are so tired of bugs biting you and all you have are swim trunks that you'll do just about anything to get it to stop. And that's where these zip offs are nice. They dry quickly. You can wear them as shorts, and if the bugs come out, you can zip the bottoms on and bring socks as well that you can pull up over these things. But if it's buggy, these things are magnificent. Don't sell them short. Again, sticking with that whole bug theme, if you're going out early in the season like we are, you definitely are going to want to make sure that you have some sort of bug head net. These things will really save you, especially when you have your hat on. You know, if you got a big brim hat, but don't skimp on this. Go spend the $15. If you hate bugs as much as I do, these things are so, so worth it. All right, last tip. If you are going on something like me and you don't have a self-belling boat, I know, not very smart, right? It's part of the challenge, y'all. Go to Walmart, go to the auto section, pick up this $2 giant sponge and just throw it in your boat and keep it there. If you have water coming in and it's starting to pool up around your butt or something like that, and you don't want to stop and take out all your gear and try to flip your boat, this thing can come in super handy because you can just dab up water, squish it out, and you'll be amazed with how much water this thing actually gets out. So now the goal is to take all of that and get it into dry bags so that if I do tip or something does go wrong or my raft sinks, I don't have wet gear the entire time. So that's next. Let's see what that looks like. All right, y'all. So by utilizing all the stuff that we talked about earlier in the video, including my cooler, I do have a dry box in here. And if you checked out my video on how I rigged my Costco kayak to be ready to go on a river that it probably shouldn't be, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. This thing, I think, is ready to go. I have everything put away, and if I swim, and everything that I need that's super important will not get wet. But again, if you haven't checked out the video on how I rigged this thing out to be set up to go, check that out. Also, coming soon, we're taking this down the river. We're leaving in a couple days. That's why I've been prepping all this stuff. And we're gonna go float this thing in a place that it probably shouldn't be. So I really appreciate you sticking around until the end here. If you did like this video, please go down, hit the like button. If you're feeling super generous, I would appreciate it if you'd subscribe. Otherwise, I hope to see you back in the next video. All right, be well, my friends. Yeah, this thing I think is gonna be pretty sweet. 169 bucks, can't go wrong. Vader's ready to go. He definitely wants to get in this thing. But again, check out those other videos. We'll see you guys on the river. What are you doing? Hi, are you outside? You're very warm. Yeah, okay, if you want to be down here, I'm gonna need you to lay down. So come out of the way. Yep. This is what we do. Hey, do not sit on me. Hey, do not sit. Oh, I love you. Oh, I do. I do. Okay, okay. You're a good boy. You're a good boy.